I mean, if someone answers your question before about that one base is only Zaku versus the core fighter. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are here with episode 15 of 1979's Mobile Suit Gundam. We are not really doing the... well, you're doing a basic NVIDIA broadcast background, I see. We're not really doing the recaps anymore. We're trying to move on from that. But instead, we're going to do like Lessons thoughts here, where he can talk about the last two episodes if he wants. But otherwise, just what are you thinking? What are you thinking about what's going on so far?
I'm really liking it, although they seem to be stretching the fact that they haven't reached, friendly lines. At least they're at the border of it, and they seem to be going all over the place. So we don't get exact places of where they're going. We talked about this before, and everything up to episode 14 was like, oh, okay. But at least it felt like, oh, we're doing this. This is happening. They're being chased, so I guess they cannot just plow through. But this episode felt so much like episode 14 stuff, like filler. Like it was like, oh, I guess we got to create a situation where the Gundam is in danger, but we clearly are not gonna endanger the Gundam. So we're gonna have this very clever plan to mine the Gundam with a very powerful explosive enough that when they exploded all together, created a mushroom cloud and sort of weird dragon thing that just went in spirals and stuff. Like, okay, that's fire for you, I guess.
Very specifically, episode 14, Time Be Still.
Yeah, and yet, Amuro had half an hour to get all the explosives off the Gundam, so they could explode somewhere else and get away. And then the people who did it took off their uniforms. I guess they grabbed or stole or already had like a minivan, drove up to them, was like, "Hey, what's going on? You guys are okay? Yeah, oh, that's a neat little robot. Clearly, that's not a Xeon machine. Oh, okay, bye." And they leave, and then you have Bright going like, "Yeah, that was the enemy, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Okay, episode over." And I'm like, "What the hell?"
I don't think Bright says anything.
No, yeah, Bright actually said Bright is talking to either Sayla or someone else, and I don't remember who they're talking to, but he was like, "Yeah, those were the enemy, right?" And the person goes like, "Yep, they were the enemy. Those were the guys who put it."
Here's the problem that I'm going to have, and I feel like we're going to keep having, so I'm just going to address it now. My brain is telling me 100% you're wrong, and you're going to keep telling me that, no, this is the way it happens, and then one of us can look it up, and I'll probably be wrong, but in my head, that didn't happen. So I'm just going to keep going with that way. It doesn't change anything. I'll tell you this, 100% of my notes are from episode 13. 0% of my notes are from Time Be Still. So, not a huge... I think if we don't need a half an hour argument about the filler episode.
Yeah, it was pure filler episode. It was like, oh yeah, no, what do we do? I can imagine the writers going like, in their 1970s typewriters going like, I guess we gotta write something.
Well, I mean, you don't have to jump to it, them being the enemy, for example, because I mean, we just had an episode where we were with Federation citizens in a village that's nearby a Xeon camp, right? So it's not entirely impossible. There could be rando Federation civilians riding along. How many people did we just let off in the middle of nowhere that, could just wander by anything that's happening?
I mean, technically everybody on Earth is a Federation citizen unless they declare it for Xeon somehow.
Well, everybody that's landed from Xeon is not a Xeon citizen. I mean, it's not a Federation citizen.
People who are already on Earth. So if there were civilians on Earth, they were Federation citizens.
Well, we don't know if there's any sort of forced migrations happening, because we already talked about before. I believe it was in my previous notes, the concept that a bunch of these people want to get back to Earth because they were forced to migrate to space already. Who's to say that Xeon didn't force people to migrate to Earth in its invasion? We need an infrastructure. We can't regard all of our military forces to whatever we're doing with the resources that we're fighting for, that we're obviously going to be using in the meantime because we need to keep the production alive. So, military forces a bunch of civilian contractors in.
Yeah. But again, that was sort of like my impression. And it's and this and the writers of this episode were very conscious of that because they would constantly lampshade things like, "Oh, it's gonna take half an hour." What do you mean we're gonna take half an hour? Well, you see, we are just a backup unit, therefore we get the crappiest things. That's why it's gonna take half an hour. It's like, oh,
well, no, it's gonna take half an hour because they're timed explosives that they set for half an hour.
No, but the thing is that the timers couldn't go lower than half an hour. Right? That's what they say. It's like, why is it just like, oh yeah, because we get the crappiest stuff ever.
Again, this is something that's right over the top of my head. I don't recall that being said, but that one is also the difference here is that one, I will fully admit, may have just missed because there's a bunch of back and forth conversation between the Xeon soldiers that is just good old boy conversation, right?
Yeah, they're like, but again, it's like the writers are so aware that people in the audience may have these questions. They're like, okay, we're hanging a lampshade on the fact that they didn't put like 5 minutes time, right? And just enough for them to get away and destroy the Gundam, if that was the purpose, right? Right. It's like, and they're watching from a distance. It was like, oh, this guy's gonna. Hey, anybody had like a sniper rifle? No, again, they don't talk about sniper rifle, but I imagine
something you brought up.
Yeah, it's like artillery or something because the guy's just there,
Again, I don't think there was the impetus of the episode isn't being treated that way. This isn't like the Garmo ramming the white base with a gaw, right? This isn't Isolina trying to get revenge for her dead lover.
Yeah.
This is, we're kind of bored and we fucking hate that magician. So let's just go have some fun with this. This is Han Solo on Endor, right?
Yeah.
This isn't let's do everything tactically possible and intelligent. Let's hide in the bunker and like threaten them with an explosive, handheld explosive.
Yeah, it was filler.
Well, as I said, that's why we get the good old boy thing when they drive up in the truck. Let's just see who they are. Let's have fun. We can't really do anything. We kind of like MacGyvered this whole situation with what the fuck the commander would let us bring out. Because we only got the one Zaku, and we can't waste that on a fight we know we can't win. Commander wouldn't let that happen. So
I mean, they couldn't, I guess, bring pistols or rifles, which they already had. They go like, "Oh, hey, thanks for the Gundam, get out."
Well, it felt more like they were hazing Amuro than they were actually fighting Amuro, because that's what it is. Even they get blasted back by the Gundams, whatever. I'm not going to call them jets, but because they're clearly something else. But
no, he was fanning them out with the part of the shield that survived, the lower part of the shield.
No, I remember the Gundam landing down, and the force of the landing also sent like a wave of air, and it knocked them all around. But they're like, ha ha! They're just like having fun with it. So clearly they were. I feel like they're the same grouping as like Amuro, people who just don't want to shoot people in the face, but are still kind of willing to kill them so long as they're in a humanoid form in a robot.
A couple of them got killed because at least one shot wiped out one of them at least. So
we just saw people flying all over the place, and we didn't see anybody actually on screen die. You could easily imply that the forces by which they would go flying into the air and then hit the ground, somebody should have been dead or bones broken or anything. But the group of people we follow, they're not part of that. Like the guy even retreating back, it's like, oh, yeah, we lured him out. Thanks. They're just having fun.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Just a bunch of bored soldiers and one enemy that suddenly appeared.
Oh, yeah, because the whole thing was that if they managed to destroy the Gundam,
they'd go home.
They go home, right? It was like, oh, I guess we don't get home. Not a big deal, I guess.
I think what you just said just resonated with me. It's like you said it's dissonant, and I think that's the point. I mean, maybe it's not the point, but it feels like something to consider, that not everybody is experiencing this war the same way. That obviously we just came back from the very serious point of view of the Federation village that Amuro has family in, and we're getting that point of view of this very serious point of view. And here, it's literally just a bunch of bored Zeon soldiers that have a magician coming to play for them. And it's like, they're not taking anything seriously. It doesn't seem like they have a threat in the area they need to be worried about. They've got one Zaku, which is clearly enough to lock anything down, but we don't even know if they're locking anything down. They're just bored and want to go home, but not like desperately so. Nobody wants to die either. So it's just like, okay, it's another point of view. Sorry, it's another point of view, and it's very clearly just the Zeon point of view over here. We don't actually care what the White Base is up to, because it doesn't even paint White Base's crew very well. The bomb defusal guy doesn't do a very good job. Amuro forgets that he can get in the cockpit and lift the leg of the Gundam up, even though it's literally everything he's been studying and training for.
Here's the thing. They bring out the bomb disposal guy, right? The guy who should be doing disposal.
Omar,
and I was like,
no,
I'm going to do it. I know how to do it. It was like, oh, okay. Like, oh, we can't let Amuro do that. It was like, well, he's going to do it. Let's go. They leave. And then it's like, oh, okay, everybody run, get help Amuro. I was like, I thought the idea was that if one person died, that was going to be it. But I guess now we're going to help Amuro, right? There's this big fight between Braw and what's her other name? The one who is the pilot. I forgot her name. Maria. And it's like, oh, it's Amuro. Help her. It's like, and she's like, she almost thought I was gonna slap her. It's like, listen.
Well, everyone's on the bridge watching. Like everyone's like literally not that far away either. Like no one's like with binoculars or a telescope. They're just eyeballing it. Yeah, what's he doing? Like, I don't know. It's a brick. If you're that close, you can see a brick-sized object in the guy's hands. You're probably in the detonation zone as well.
Yeah, I think it's gonna blow up a Gundam like that. It's gonna do some damage. It's like, oh yeah, no, we're just gonna let him do it because that's just the way. He's the one who knows how to do it. It's like, but you literally have a bomb disposal guy.
I guess my only other thought here, to follow your thought process, if it's the gun tank and the gun cannon must not have the learning system in them, right? Which implies that if we can sacrifice Amuro to save the Gundam, or not, as it were, that he must not be very good at the gun tank or the gun cannon.
Yeah, but
it's like he's our most experienced pilot, but we must think, oh, he's only good because the Gundam is a learning machine. So we must think he can't pilot the gun cannon or the gun tank because we got two other guys who are doing it, but they're doing without a learning computer. So,
but they also seem to be he seems to be very good as a pilot too. And they only have like one or two pilots, so
I don't know. We haven't seen him do. I guess there was the Luna 2 thing,
and when he shot down the transport and then made the attack on the base. The attack on the base was
Yeah, but, I mean that's like attacking just people on the ground. They never got up to fight him. I guess maybe he got in a dogfight with Garma. And I guess technically a transport that had Dren piloting it, but it's just a transport. It didn't have any, I don't think it had guns.
Yeah. No, it did.
But still, it was a highly less, I don't know what my brain's trying to say here, far less maneuverable than the core fighter.
So, I mean, but again, Amuro is the guy in the Gundam who saved their lives time and time again. It is the weapon that the whole thing is named after, and the reason why they went through all this problem in the first place, right? And they're like, oh no, let not only can we lose the Gundam, we're gonna let the guy who can pilot the Gundam, who knows about how to pilot the Gundam, because that's also information he could teach others, perhaps, right?
They're in a weird mental space, because they also, some of them still think, I think, that the White Base is being used as a distraction.
Yeah.
In which case, they think that they're all kind of being sacrificed, so I guess the Gundam itself isn't important in that point of view, then.
I think more to the point is that even if that's the case, I would go like, well, if the Federation doesn't think much of us and they're only willing to give us, some supplies every so often, we got to make sure that we survive for our own sake, if nothing else, right? And this is the guy who's been saving our asses from minute one. Let's not sacrifice him. just because he said so.
All right. Any other thoughts on your end?
No.
All right. I made a mistake. I do think I have like maybe 5% of my thoughts come from Time Be Still, like one or two things, but the rest of it's from the previous episode because of course we record these two at a time. Actually, let's go to the board first. Why not?
Let's do it.
We don't have any connective tissue between the two. As I was telling you before, this is also the last time the board will have to be transcribed from the other one that's just off to the side that the audience can't see. Because literally all I did was take this. I think the only difference between this and that one is some stuff from the episode we're going to watch today. Some characters from that. Also, the only ones I decided to include that had no pictures was Kamluli's father and Kamluli. Or Kamali, rather.
Yeah.
Only because we meet her, and we found out that her husband's dead. But more importantly, that Kamali is dead, and Kamali was a childhood friend of Amuro's, which I feel like is character building for Amuro. So it kind of makes it worth including on the board. Because typically unnamed people that die aren't like directly connected to a character backstory. But yeah, Omar Fang. I'm assuming that's how you say his name. That's how I'm reading it. Omar
Fang, I was saying. Amur.
And of course the Xeon guys from our little base there, including the magician, which I've given a red line to between Guile. He hates that guy.
Yeah.
Other than that, I believe the board is still relatively the same. And despite having been loaded for a while, still somewhat pixelated on my end. Oh yeah, and Kamaria Ray added up on the top in relation to Tamaray and Amuro. But yeah, that is the board. Any notes you want to make about that?
No, except that I look at Kuran, who was the leader of the aero. What do hell they call them? Aero bikes, floating bikes. I don't know. And he's probably the most laid back Xeon soldier we met so far. He's like,
I mean, at best, I guess they're the reflection to the abandoned Federation soldiers we saw in the previous episode.
Yeah, those guys were jackasses.
Yeah, just what's the Xeon soldier with nothing to do? Like, well, I guess at least they're not drinking and abusing the people around them, but they don't have a native population that we've seen yet to abuse. You know, otherwise it's all Federation population.
Well, I mean,
when I say native population, I mean there's no Xeon native, Xeon civilians for them to fuck around with.
Yeah.
And these guys seem to be in the middle of nowhere. Alright, my thoughts here. Sayla says something odd at the start of the episode. Of course, Coming Home, that episode. When she's sunbathing on the beach, she complains that having the sunlight all from one place seems so artificial. Now, she could just be maintaining her fake identity, but we know Artesia. She was a little girl on Side 3 and spent most of her formative years in Spain. She, of all people, knows what it's like not to live on a side.
Yeah, I think it's her maintaining her cover, basically.
I guess it's just odd for me because it seems so offhand. And I would think that if she's maintaining her cover, it would be more of a formative thought than an offhand thought.
Yeah, but I think both her and Char they're equally as smart. They're both very gifted people. It just so happens that we spend more time with Char and being who he is than with Sayla. But Sayla has proven to be capable. She's proven to be fierce in combat.
Not as underhanded, though.
No, I'm not saying that. I said capable, not
no.
underhanded.
I'm saying you're saying they're equally as smart, and I was thinking, oh, well, we see Char at the academy, and Char is like fucking brilliant. Like, he's like a beautiful minding it. Like, He's answering the really complex math questions before the rest of the class. But I mean, that Char is being very underhanded, not only just to kill the people he suspects are like figuring him out or hiding himself, because he's hiding himself in the midst of the enemy, versus Sayla, who's just kind of like wandering through. And that's what I'm saying, is that her underhandedness here is that she is lying offhand without being prompted. Like, no one asked her about it. She's just making comments to build this lie apropos
it could
of
also
nothing.
be, well, not. I mean, she could also be used to it by now, right? That's the kind of thing that you do, because he was also, under hiding for many years. So it might be something like a tick for her. It was like, oh, I'm just going to mention the stuff that.
That also seems weird, because we see her traveling a lot, which means that she's in like ships where she can see the sun. You know?
Yeah, but I think the reason why she's trying to keep up this persona of just being a Federation civilian.
It's also a weird statement, because the sides have these giant windows. Their light still comes from the sun. It's not an artificial source thing. They have night and day cycles from the windows.
I believe actually they do have lights. You see light strips in the sky.
I recall mostly the giant windows that we had to cover up as a war function on the outside.
Yeah, but those are also they serve for purposes, really.
Right, right. But if you've got a giant window to the sun, then those night strips are just going to be like moonlight for you at nighttime. Otherwise, you're going to need a lot more than just strips to replicate the sun.
Yeah.
I say there's a lot of levels to this where it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But more so on the character level, that she volunteers this. Like, she starts the conversation. There's no existing conversation that we see beforehand.
It could also be a thing the writer wrote thinking, she has to say something, or she's going to say something that reinforces the fact that she's from the colonies, right? But, we, of course, seen a lot of stuff, especially Origins. We're like, well, it kind of doesn't fit what we've seen before.
I mean, yes, my argument is based on Origins, which, if you were watching this as it came out, there's literally nothing. That's right.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know that. We wouldn't know anything about her. I think at best we would think, is Char her brother? Right, and that's the most. So I mean, obviously my contention here is completely artificially created due to Origin, but that is also how we're looking at things. For what it's worth, the Federation soldiers squatting in Amuro's house seemed no better than the Federation soldiers that used to hang out in Clamp's bar on Side 3. I mean, these guys were more drunk than those guys, but both were into music and willing to get into a fight over real stupid shit. Hell, those drunk assholes see a kid calling out for his mom in an abandoned house and proceed to make fun of him and suggest that she died running away. I guess we have a type to typecast them into. I mean, the non-drunk guys outside throw a coin to force a fruit seller who's begging them not to steal from her to pick it up off the ground.
Yeah, again, I mentioned this during the episode. It's a sign of undisciplined soldiers. Maybe, and also they said they were abandoned as well. I don't know what does it mean that their officers just ran off and left them behind? We know
there's a nearby Xeon base, but it doesn't seem like these guys are actually based anywhere. Yeah, so it couldn't possibly be that the nearby Xeon base destroyed any Federation base that was nearby, and these guys are just literally abandoned. That whoever,
deserters, really.
Well, I was thinking more so that the Federation base, if it got destroyed, maybe there were survivors that managed to escape in whatever vehicles there were, and these guys got left behind, like literally abandoned, and they decided that they couldn't survive any trip that they had to make. Like, we wouldn't be able to get past the Xeon guys, or maybe they had good intentions at first. We'll stay here and we'll defend this village. And then whatever became of them. It's been several months.
Yeah, probably boredom and nothing. No, again, no effective leadership. That's why in the military usually they make people just do like stupid stuff. Like, oh, it's part of it is hazing, but it's also part of like,
Yeah, take
if
these
you're
pair of
working,
scissors, go outside and cut the grass.
yeah, if you're working, you're not thinking, right?
You got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Exactly.
Do you think Amuro went with Tem to Side 7 because they thought they'd be safer there? We know from the future that their hometown was getting bombed and raided by Zeon forces, but then Tem also knew he was bringing Amuro to a secret Federation base and then not even supervising him. Is there something off about Amuro's mom that she didn't think she could handle him alone? I guess I'm just a bit confused as to why Tem got custody when he's such an absent parent. And despite that, despite what Amuro says during the episode, it's clear that his mom loves him. The flashback to them leaving painted Tem as a bit uncaring, but they didn't even fight about the decision. I guess I just wish that our first view of Amuro in Origin hadn't been at a spaceport, but maybe some Watchmen-style hallway / half-closed door shot with Amuro overhearing his parents arguing in a bedroom about custody rights.
Yeah, it's...
If you remember Rorschach's flashback, that sort of thing. Of one of them arguing in a room about Tem and his motivations for bringing Amuro to Side 7, or versus his mom wanting him to stay behind, or why she didn't want to go.
Yeah, it seems that they were... If I were to hazard a guess, I think the marriage was already on the rocks, and this was the excuse for them to separate without officially divorcing.
Well, like I said, custody rights is the thing that I would want to hear about.
Yeah.
But she doesn't seem to put up a fight.
Yeah, it seems 1970, so things were in flux. And she seems very much like a homemaker. She doesn't seem to have her own job. Her dad is mentioned to be an engineer, of course, of the Gundam, or the Gundam team, but she's just a homemaker.
You say that as though
not a bad thing, but
doesn't exist. The fact she doesn't have a job doesn't really mean anything. It's usually you still provide the child with the mother, unless there's a existing situation that makes the mother unfit. So that's why it's very confusing. That, especially considering we know Tem's job had to have been the same because he's moving there with an intent. So any custody hearing would have to be: are you able to oversee the development of this child? No, my job is going to take me away from them constantly.
Yeah.
Unless it was like a custody hearing in the middle of the beginning of the war. And it's like, you're choosing to live in a war zone? Guess we're going to have to give it to the guy who's moving away from the war zone.
But I don't think by that time the war hadn't started yet. Because the
Dawn
Rebellion... No, the Dawn Rebellion
because we see them at the spaceport before.
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't understand the custody of this child at all, which is why I would rather have seen that than a cute, hey, this is a Haru in a box scene. Nah, didn't need that. Would have been how I improved it if we were going to do a reboot of Gundam. Give me more custody hearings. I know I keep going on about Amuro's shot, but come on. Undercovers with his mother on top of him for nearly the entire conversation, facing away with his head buried in a pillow and firing backwards, and he still manages to shoot the guy in the gut. I have to ask if his new type showing. I mean, it has all the skill of Char fighting Aga, just without the flash telling us it was happening.
Yeah, but in Aga's face, I don't think it was Char's ability that was a new type of ability.
Yeah, Lala. But because that's what's indicated in the fight or in the post-fight conversation. Because I believe Char asks Lala specifically, "What was that?" But there's also, because we didn't get to talk about it before. Because obviously I had thoughts written out because me and Griffin knew about new types, or we don't exactly know what new types are, but we've heard the words before. And people were talking about new types to us when we were watching Witch from Mercury. every time Char has a flash, like when he grabs the guy and the guy freezes, and then he like one finger throws him across the yard, and he goes to like bricks. It's like new type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when he takes more G's, when he shifts away the way he does, all that is.
I actually also I think attributed the fact that he's standing on the top of Texas and is looking down, and I think he gets a flash there too, and he spots Sayla as a new type thing.
Yeah.
So, or observation hockey or whatever you want. But yeah. So I don't know. For me, that is a superhuman trick. Like he would have to be an expert marksman, and he's not. So clearly, something else has to be at play. Otherwise, he could have easily shot his mom, right?
Or someone else.
He's basically firing a gun upside down and backwards.
Or himself, for that matter.
Well, less likely he's going to shoot himself because he's pushing. I assume he's pushing his gun under the arm and away from him. So he would really have to be a fuck up to shoot himself. But countless children, old people, his mom, nothing at all to have actually shot his target and a gut shot, no less. It's just impossible or highly improbable at best.
Very dramatic, though. I think that's what they're aiming for.
Oh, I don't know. I think it could have been a lot more dramatic if he did miss. Like, didn't even have to shoot anybody, right? Just sets the Zeon guys off by, oh, God, someone's shooting at us. They could even still run out. But it'd still freak everybody else out. The Zeon guys pull guns on everyone, which scares the children. Yeah, it could still be very dramatic without having to shoot anybody.
Or he could have done the reveal, like, oh, this is me, boom, and shoot, and turn and shoot, right? Like,
I don't know, because then you get into like quick draw, right? Because
if he has the gun out,
I don't know. Quick draw could be dramatic too. Like he goes like that, and they start aiming at him, and then he could still shoot somebody, and it would still make sense. Either way, the gun still goes off. His mother still gets pissed that the gun got shot. Yeah. So,
or wait for him to pull the covers, and when he pulls the cover, the guy's right on top of him. Like, that's when you take the shot, because you can't miss.
Or, just give us that little lightning flash and make it a new type thing. Something. Yeah. I mean, maybe he does something. Obviously, I don't know the story. Maybe he does something later and there's a flash, and it's like, oh, it's a lot more impactful there. This is just insane to me. This is like the beginning of Buster Scruggs.
Which is a fun little... It's a series of...
It's a collection of stories set into one movie with a shared world. I mean, obviously it's the Wild West, but I mean, it's obviously not our Wild West. So
yeah, it's exaggerated Wild West.
I mean, honestly, I don't think I ever finished the movie. I think I watched the Buster Scruggs bit, and I liked the bank robbery place. But then the very next one was just like very not interesting for me. So I got like most of the way through it. The traveling, not circus, but like traveling storyteller thing. So I don't actually know what happens after that. Amuro's relation with his mother is a tough hurdle. We know all the mental stress and PTSD that he's gone through just trying to survive and protect everyone. Clearly he was exactly the way she raised him to be. Now I use this excuse a lot, but I literally just told you before we started recording I was up at 2 a.m. Now that he's basically a Federation soldier, she's ashamed of him, and she cruelly yells at him as he runs away from the medical camp. At the same time, she asks him what kind of mother wouldn't love her son. Obviously, she can be ashamed of what Amuro is doing and still love him. At the same time, from Amuro's side, he's just hearing what Fra and Bright emotionally and physically beat out of him just after he felt like he could have died from the one person he thought would be on his side no matter what. It was a crazy leap in logic for him to think that she didn't love him and would rather he died than kill someone, but at least the groundwork is there for us to understand with all the traumas he's gone through why he would think that.
And that I want to bring back, because we're talking about the whole relationship with his father and mother. But part of it, not the totality, not the total explanation of it, is that what we're seeing is Amuro's. Well, we're seeing I literally see Amuro, so it's not first person, but still, we're seeing the way he remembered how it happened, right? And I think, and it literally is kind of a bit rosy as well. Like they chose to make it a little more reddish in the animation. Like literally, he's seeing the past.
Happened in New Mexico.
Yeah, the pass through red tinted glasses, right? So that's what he remembers about his mother. Very caring, very loving. He remembers the conversation. Maybe how old was he? 6,
You know,
7?
it kind of has an element of, you've seen A Christmas Story before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he's like in his dream state of remembering stuff.
Yeah.
How like the very end of his dream state will repeat itself over and over again as he's waking back up into the real world. The same way that his mother just kisses him repeatedly over and over again as he comes back from the memory.
Yeah, it could have been just a single kiss, but he remembers that as being the. So I think he basically had a rose-tinted memories, right? He's gone through all this drama. So going home and seeing his mother again, it's like, oh, there's the hope that. He even says the one thing he doesn't countenance is his mother being dead. Like he's seen all the destruction. That's the first thing he should be thinking about, right?
Well, how many episodes was it again? After they get away from Side 7, they go, yeah, what did happen to my dad? You know, he just doesn't think about these things. You don't want to consider what the bad might be, and especially he is already like buried in it when it comes to what he's currently dealing with. You know, all the long laying in bed moping or staring into the universe with your white eyes.
I mean, he's gone through a lot, and I think those things the idea, especially mother being on his home, literally he's imagining his mom being in his house, waiting for him with open arms. Everything's going to be okay, right? And what he gets, of course, is, well, she's alive. She clearly loves him, but there's a conflict. The person that Amuro is today and the person that he imagined his mom to be then, not even now, are different, right? It's a clash of personalities.
That's what I'm saying. My argument is that he was the person that she raised him to be when he was on Side 7, and Fraw and Bright have basically beat that out of him physically and emotionally to be the person that he is now. And granted, that's not like a 180 turn from the person that she wanted him to be, because obviously he's still getting into fights about this shit. But he also expected that she would support him unconditionally. And when she hits him with, I have a different point of view than you, and you're not doing what I raised you to do, he instantly jumps to the, you don't love me anymore, because he's been put through this shit. Like, even my dad doesn't hit me, you know, that whole thing. And again, it's not unbelievable that his mom can love him and be disappointed in him. These aren't two different points of view. It's just, I don't think he's thinking about that. He's in the moment. And unfortunately, in the moment means that he's, I would expect, going to think about this later. This is going to be like a degree of separation, the same way that, where is my dad? You know, that thing.
He's in survival mode still, so he's doing what he thinks is to survive, right? You know.
I critiqued Bright's take on Amuro's assault on the forward Xeon base during the episode, but in hindsight, I get what he was saying. They just got resupplied for the first time since leaving Side 7, after having been on the verge of running out of ammunition. If they just start attacking places with little to no value to their journey or survival, they are just risking any future situation where they might desperately need those supplies, which is why Bright was saying that it's as good as slitting their own throats.
I agree. I agreed then, and I agree now.
Well, I guess that also I expected a debate here again, because Past Me is also saying they just got resupplied for the first time.
No, it's the second time. But
no,
I didn't
Past Me is also disagreeing with you. I literally just copied these as I said them the first time. Past Me also thinks the second time Matilda appears is the only time they got resupplied.
No, because the first time was.
Oh, I already know your argument. I'm just saying that I expected more of a debate.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out that past me, there's two of me now.
Yeah.
One of me from, I guess, 5 months ago, I don't know how long ago it's been, thought the same thing as future me. Or I guess now, temporarily only further past me. Two past me's. The man in the mirror. Speaking of Bright, I feel like when he walked out to talk to Amuro and his mom, that was where we got awkward good guy Bright. The same guy who flounders about trying to talk to Sayla. He tells Amuro's mom how much they depend on her son and how good a job he's done, because, of course, that is what a parent would want to hear, right? All the while not aware that this woman was cursing the fact that Amuro has been raised by men, and that's what must have caused this. As they fly off, of course she's crying, as Bright just reinforced all of her fears. She's caring for people in a town where everyone above the age of a child and below a grandparent is either dead or a good for nothing, and she laments that that's the fate of her son. It's the, I know I've invoked this word every time, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. It is the Nazi end of the war scenario. We have to expand the draft, the forced recruiting. Throw out the children, throw out the grandparents, anyone who can hold a gun.
Yeah.
Side note, we know Amuro has a thing for the older ladies, such as his repeated infatuations with Lieutenant Matilda. The fact we all know that, I don't know if you know this, but this is a thought, or this was a joke that was passing around in the Discord back when we watched this. The one meme of Char shouting for Amuro to hook up with Sayla, impregnate Sayla, where they're fighting on the ground. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It now makes me think that he has some Freudian mother issues going on as well. If he winds up having a thing for Sayla, then it can't just be a coincidence that his mother was spending her time as a volunteer at a medical camp, when we know Sayla used to do the same when she was younger as well, before growing up to be a doctor or a nurse at Loom. All that much worse for Frog, considering that she's been like Amuro's actual mom all this time.
Yes, I don't know. You said you had a note about this. Was this a note about the coat?
No, hold on. Is it not about Guile, not about Earth Defensive? Bright Matilda's conversation. God, where's it? I do have a note about it. Hold on.
Okay, well, I'll wait to when we get to that.
Okay, no, it's actually my last note. I'll just jump to it.
Mm-hmm.
When Amuro gets back from creepily watching Matilda and Bright talking, Fra is waiting for him just outside his room wrapped up in an officer's coat. No one else is acting like it's cold, and she's obviously giving him a "where have you been" treatment. I have to think that she's seen how he's looking at Matilda and decided to put on a uniform like hers to try and get Amuro to look at her the same way.
No, that's not what I thought when I saw her in the coat.
Well, I know you made a statement like she's not wearing anything under the coat, but we know that she was.
Oh, yeah, but something frilly, right? Some civilian clothes that she said maybe she looks nice.
She always wears like a dress or something, so I just think it was her normal clothes underneath the coat. It's
not
like
good.
It's not like oh, look at this, wasn't one of those. Like, she's not wearing lingerie under there.
It kind of felt that way, but she wasn't wearing like the pink uniform that the female officers wear everybody wears a skirt except for the soldiers wear.
Well, I mean, that's literally all we kind of see is like the hem of the skirt that she's wearing underneath it, because the coat it's an adult coat, so it's like big on her. It's like wearing
it looks green to me. It looked green to me, so I don't think she was wearing.
My problem is I'm remembering blue, but I'm not like great with just remembering colors. So for me, it just looked like a normal outfit that she wear underneath it.
Yeah, but the normal outfit would be pink or reddish.
Well, she doesn't wear a uniform. She just wears her normal ass clothes. But
no. Sayla has a uniform. She also has a uniform, and
Fra doesn't have a military position on the ship. She takes care of the kids and the civilians.
No, Fra she still has Miria, Fra, and Sayla all wear the same uniform, which is kind of pink, reddish pink kind of thing. Fra is
well, you can't use the board, even though I know we both try to. The board is pictures taken from Origin, which is before everything. Look, my recollection is that Fra just takes care of the kids. She doesn't have any. She's not like all the other people that came on board. She is relegated to
she's not wearing her civilian clothes.
I think she was during when she had that uniform on. And my point of view is more so that she was trying to look like Matilda or possibly smell like Matilda, since we know that's a thing for Amuro as well.
Remember also she was part of the team that helped Frick when they left the part of the civilians in the Grand Canyon, and she was part of the team that helped fool the Zeons, and she was wearing a uniform and also wearing like the rocket belt thing. In fact, I made the comment that she was like kind of
you're right. I'm remembering that now.
Yeah,
you can stop trying to convince me. I'm remembering that the upskirt shot also mostly because I used it as a part of the thumbnail. So
yeah, so maybe her intentions weren't. I mean, she's still a teenager, so maybe her intentions were a little more sensual than sexual, right?
I'm gonna say it's not sexual, only because she treats everything else as not as adult. Right? She sees him being infatuated with Matilda the first time she shows up. She doesn't like put up a front of, oh, that's how we're gonna play it. She sticks her tongue out at him and does what the kids do. She's not.
Yeah,
she's if it is what you're saying, huge missed opportunity to see her child mind floundering into adult territory, because that is a turn that you do in these sort of things where, oh, I'm losing him to the adult world, I better step it up, but then not understanding what adults are doing. And also, I know that he's feeling away, but I'm not feeling those feelings yet because I haven't matured emotionally or physically. But I better try to emulate. So if they were doing that, then they fucked that up completely. But to see her try to do something as basic as maybe it's the uniform, not understanding what's drawing Amuro in, and then figuring out that she's fucking it up and upset at Amuro about it, is more on the level to me.
Also, I think she doesn't understand Amuro's position, because once he's told off, right? Because basically he just wants to do the thing where you have a crush and you just want to be in the same area as your crush because you want to be able to see them, right? A teenager does that, right? And he's like told off to go away. That's when it's like, oh, okay, I am really tired. That didn't work. He's depressed and tired. And when she shows up, he's like, I don't want to deal with anything, especially with you. And I think he also doesn't want to deal with Fra, ironically enough, mothering him, right? That's the last thing he wants. He doesn't like, oh, geez, what's she going to say to me? Listen, I'm sorry. And he just goes in his room. Of course, she gets angry because he doesn't get it. It's very typical, relationship behavior we see in a lot of things, especially among teenagers, right? Who have a hard time figuring out themselves, let alone what someone else wants, right? She clearly is attracted to him. Let the show decide for us what happens, but yeah.
I'm an emotional idiot. I've said that many times before, so I'll be the last one to figure any of this out. All I can throw out there is my thoughts from like young adult books that I may have read, that sort of thing. The point of view of characters I've seen in media before, because I certainly don't remember what I would have thought when I was that age. Too far gone now. As I said before, Garma's squad had a Guile in it. Then last episode we came across a Guile again. Is it possible that there are two people named Guile? Who knows? Until proven otherwise, I'm just going to assume it's the same guy, and that he survived to then get transferred. Interesting, though, that the unit he's with now only has a single Zaku, and that their commander is willing to let them do whatever they want, so long as it doesn't risk that Zaku. Goes to show, I think, the value of a single mobile suit. given how poorly the area around them seems to be doing, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that this one Zaku has the whole region on lockdown.
Yeah, it's a BattleTech rule where, well, no, BattleTech they take it to extremes in some cases. Like there's a single mech that patrols an entire planet, right? But still, right? The idea that these are powerful enough weapons that are intimidating enough.
Well, they stand up to basically tank rounds, right?
Yeah,
so what's a person without a tank even gonna do? Lieutenant Matilda mentioned that there is a big offensive being planned in Europe, which I'm making a note of only due to the fact that here's a note. I guess just to keep things up to date. Let's see, do I still have it on hand? Because I probably did not delete it because it's just a weird little picture. Make sure not to send you weird Legends of the Galactic Hero shit in my folders. Oh god. Going back far enough, I can't remember. I know I've seen it, and I probably didn't delete it. Filling up my own space as I zoom around. Oh, here it is. I don't remember when that got shared to us, but it got shared to us at some point, so I've seen it before. Griffin saw it. And it's what I'm referencing. I'm making a note of only due to the fact that the world map we'd seen before shows that the Federation controls Europe. So that must be where most of the Federation forces are, getting ready to launch a strike elsewhere. Besides which, she says the White Base is on a data collection mission at the moment. No doubt the Gundam's learning computer being used as a test bed for other such future computers. I'm surprised they don't arrive with a bunch of pro data to feed the Gundam to update it every time they show up. Just make Amuro slightly better through patches.
Yeah, I think this map is spoilers. It would be spoilers, so I'm going to leave it at this.
Yeah, obviously
it is inaccurate.
You can't ruin me, so don't ruin me.
It is an accurate map, but it depends on which date, which time in that 1 year of war.
Well, obviously it would have been before this. This has to be, unless the person who sent it to us was wrong, in which case you still can't tell me. So my indication to this is that we would have gotten this somewhere earlier.
It's not wrong for what they're talking about.
I'm using it as a reference to the thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so
that's not wrong.
Again, this would have been sent before that conversation that I'm referencing, though. So
yeah, it's not wrong to that, but it is, and this is a kind of difficulty because the White Base is going all over the place, and we're not really given specific points. Like they were going over North America, then they're going over the Pacific.
I mean, I can tell you where I'm pretty sure that they've gone, because I think I've mentioned it in notes before, that they landed in California, and I know you've already said something about New York, and I know that doesn't make any fucking sense. No, they landed somewhere in California, then headed towards, God, I want to say I've said Venezuela. I can literally point at it on the map, but I literally don't know the name of the places on the map, so it's completely unhelpful. Basically, they landed in California and then went southeast, and then they got orders from the Federation Command to pick up refugees elsewhere, and are now flying over the South Pacific. Or I say South Pacific, I don't know why I said South. They're heading over the Pacific, so they're heading away from their intended first target on Earth. They're going away from Jaburo.
Yeah, for some reason.
No, because they got orders. They got orders to pick up refugees.
But why were those orders given? That's what I'm thinking about. What's the reason for?
Well, because we know that there's a bunch of people gathering in Europe, and as per the thing I just said, there's obviously a major offensive about to be launched in Europe. Or, I guess, from Europe? I don't know if it's in Europe. Everything is in Europe right now, so from Europe is my only thought.
It would have been easier for them to cross the Caribbean and the Atlantic to go to Europe than going all the way around.
No, they've got orders in the Pacific. They're not heading towards Europe. I would argue that they're being directed away from whatever is about to happen.
Oh, that makes more sense. What
I was indicating is that I don't know if the war is in Europe or it's going to be launched from Europe. Because my indicator here was that everything that they're doing is they're gathering in Europe. but according to this, they control Europe. So the idea is probably, I don't know, best thought is Africa. Africa is historically a resource-rich continent. There's not an overwhelming presence of Xeon there. There's a lot of Federation-controlled territory, so I would guess take back the means of production, as it were. Because it's either that or Asia, but Asia is so much larger of a territory to go after, or the Middle East, but I don't think oils is valuable anymore. Unless you want to secure that trade route from the Indian Ocean to Europe.
Okay, I want to, again, it's spoiler.
Don't spoil, yeah, I'm saying don't spoil me. I'm just like, what would I do if I knew that all of my forces were here in Europe? Well, it's like, well, North America only matters to me strategically because I live in it right now, so probably take that off the board. Obviously, it's also a stupid move. You don't want to cross the Atlantic in a major attack, especially if you assume that all of your forces means a lot of ground forces unable to be instantly transported.
Yeah, we don't know about.
Historically, what major European power invaded rather successfully another continent? It wasn't Asia. I believe there was a guy named the Desert Fox. He was rather successful in another continent.
Until
his name started with an R. Oh, that's of course. The guy goes to the whole war effort on that one specific country. I'm trying to be vague here because I say their name too often. I'm just saying that if I'm taking historical precedent, the reasons that you have expressed before about the war effort, namely resources, and I said denial, you said use, either way, it makes them a valuable commodity. Which one of these countries is more resource rich than the rest and has viable lower, it's seemingly, based on the map, lower amounts of opposition forces? Asia to India. Is India an Asian country? What is that considered?
Yeah, the Indian subcontinent is part of Asia.
Is it? Okay, I don't know. Obviously, yeah, that's a stupid question. The whole fucking thing from
South Asia, as opposed to Southeast Asia, which is Japan.
It's such a massive continent that it sometimes just boggles my mind how big it is.
But it's two of them, really, because Europe is it's Eurasia, but people say it differently.
Well, I mean, technically, when we're listing continents, Europe is its own continent.
Yeah. We shouldn't be, but yeah, there you go.
Well, yeah, but I mean, technically, if it wasn't for the Panama Canal, South and North America would just be America.
I think it's tectonic. I don't want to get into tectonics.
But if you get into tectonics, then we should just all be the one continent. Still,
no tectonic plates, because there's a North American and South American plate. There's a Caribbean plate.
Sure, but then there would be a bunch of continents that are just the middle of the ocean.
No, that's not how plates work.
No, there are tectonic plates that don't have any above ground shit. Like the Hawaiian islands are the line of a tectonic plate that isn't connected to any of our above ground continents.
No, but it's part of the circle.
You're saying the Ring of Fire, not the circle. Yeah. Not Circle of Fire. The Circle of Fire is what you see at the circus.
It's a Ring of Fire.
The Ring of Fire, which is not represented by like a large above ground continent, but just a series of islands that are formed by the tectonic shift of, one going under the other. I understand tectonic plates. I'm just saying that you would have.
It does say part of North America, because the area of Washington State and stuff like that is part of that plate. That's why you have so many volcanoes, and it's near Seattle because,
I don't live on that side of the country, so obviously it's not the first thing on my mind. Don't deal with a lot of earthquakes here on the East Coast.
I mean, Mount St. Helens is 10 miles, 20 miles north of Seattle, and exploded in the early 1980s. That was a thing. God, I'm old. Anyway,
I don't know. Alive, not conscious.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Well, I mean, what What year
I
was it?
wasn't there, but
Well, I
I
mean,
was
yeah, no, I've never left the East Coast.
1982, 83, I think. Never mind. It was early 1980s. Reagan's first term.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been
1984.
born, is all I'm saying. I would have been born, but obviously no conscious thought, no conscious memory. So,
Yeah.
and
Anyway,
again, never left the East Coast, so it doesn't matter.
This map is accurate. It does help with what we're talking about. People who know. Don't spoil on the comments below. Or if you are, please point a spoiler target tag, please.
I want to throw out there also, if you've left a really involved comment and I don't like thumbs up it or heart it, the only reason I don't, because I love really involved comments. I love people who really get into it and aren't like assholes about me being wrong about things or anything like that. The only reason I don't like heart or thumbs up those is I think there might be a spoiler in it, in which case I instantly avoid reading the rest of the comment. And I can't give a thumbs up or a heart to something I haven't actually read.
Also, a lot of the information that I know come from, not so much from 0079, which is the how people call Gundam 79, but other shows that are in the UC era that talk about things that other characters are involved in this period. Some other characters. So yeah, if you watch those, then you know why this map is and is inaccurate. If you haven't, it doesn't matter.
Question just jumps into my head here. How many shows in the UC era have you seen?
War in the Pocket, 8 MS Team, the whole of Igloo, which is 2 seasons or 2 sets of shows. They're episodics. They're very short episodes. All CGI. What else? Oh yeah, Charge Counterattack.
So 3 in a movie?
Yeah, 3 in a movie. Yeah, and of course this show.
Oh, all right. So 4 in a movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So not a lot actually. In the longer scheme of things, not actually a lot.
No, there's more than that. Stardust Memory.
5 now into a movie.
There's a lot of UC. It's like, wait a minute, there's more to it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, still, even 5 and a movie isn't a lot. There's still, there's still more unseen.
I haven't seen Double Z Gundam, which
or
is
Z,
or Z
Zeta as it's called.
Yeah, Theta or Double Zeta. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I know there's a lot of post-war stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're still mostly in the 1 year war. Well,
yeah,
technically you're not. No, Igloo is in the 1 year war, isn't it? So
Igloo is a 1 year war.
Yeah, well, if you count UC, you're 3 feet into the 1 year war, 1 foot just somewhat out of it.
Yeah.
And something else, I can't remember.
Charge Counterattack.
That's 1 foot out of it.
That's 1 foot out of it, certainly.
Again, I don't know what happens in these. I hate that I know the names of them because that's kind of already a spoiler. Like, oh wait, this happens after the 1 year war and it's Charge Counterattack? That makes me think thoughts. It's as much of a spoiler as when somebody tries to hype you up for something, right? Trying to hype you up that this is going to be really good. Well,
and then it doesn't.
Yeah, it's the Macross Plus effect, I will say, of this, right?
Yeah.
You thought Macross Plus was really good, so I came in with high expectations and then didn't like it on my own. Sometimes I know I'm an asshole and I not like things to be contrary, and I don't feel like that's what I did there. But
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but hyping somebody up for a thing can kind of be a spoiler, not in a you told them information they shouldn't know, but you set them up to expect a thing.
Failed, yeah.
At the time, I was quite confused about Bright and Matilda's conversation regarding Bright's rank. They go back and forth, coyly saying ensign at the time, and that Rebel was confirming it. At the time, I had thought Bright already was an ensign as an entry-level officer. I know you were going to say something. Just wait till the end. I forgot that Bright was actually a cadet, and the implication here is that they are fast-tracking him through the program, implying as well that he was an officer cadet. I already know that you are a military fanboy when it comes to like media and whatnot. I am less so. So, for me, these are tangible facts that I just, like, wash over me like water on a duck's back.
The importance of making him an ensign is that because he is an officer, they're confirming that now he is the de facto commander of White Base. Now, for those people who know, something like White Base would have a much higher ranking officer. But in lieu of you're it, right? Because a cadet should not be able to be commanding of anything, right? It's a cadet. It's his own training, right? But once you're officially an officer, they give him the minimal rank, which is an ensign. Like, okay, you're the senior officer in place. You're the one who's you're now the captain of, for all intents and purposes, unless we put. In fact, they said that they want to send someone else. Oh, eventually you're gonna get a senior officer, but for now, tag you're it, right?
So I was just thinking Starship Troopers. You're it until you die, or I find someone better.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, like Sam, the only reason I think I read this down, because again, this is also my thoughts from 5 months ago or whatever, is that I was having confusion about why they just keep going back and forth over a thing that I thought was already true. Like, I thought he was already an ensign. So, like, they're making you an ensign. An ensign? Yes, an ensign. It's like, why are we talking about this? And it's like, I had to go back. It's like, no, he's just a cadet. They're actually appointing him, which means that they're, again, fast-tracking him through the system. Alright, my last thought here. Matilda also says that if it weren't for Revel, that they would have been executed long ago. Kind of how, like, I had to erase a bunch of shit here because I make references to Seed, because we were watching Seed and Gundam at the same time. And obviously, you're about to start your Seed journey, so don't ruin that. Kind of how, like, Reed kept throwing around court-martial threats. The fact that Zeon couldn't take them out, and Zeon is the ever-present threat to them, the Federation could barely keep them supplied, let alone run out of force to take them into custody. If that idiot Revel, and yes, he is still an idiot since he got released from imprisonment in Origin, tried to have them people of White Base killed, I feel like we would be watching Gundam's version of Captain Harlock. Space pirates with the best ship and weapons in all of known space.
Well, the implication is that Revel didn't want that to happen.
That's why he sent somebody to make a threat that you would have been executed a long time ago.
Now, okay, it's not really a threat in the sense of, it's more of, I am supporting you, but I'm the only one on your side. So you better do what you're telling me, because otherwise other people might be doing that. But I'm on your side.
Hey, Lessons. If you weren't reacting on this channel with me, you'd be dead a long time ago. Does that sound great? Is that a great thing to hear? Right? Well, I'm the only one helping you out here. Otherwise, all these other people would have you killed. It's like, what? You know, how about you keep the threats on your side? Because we don't even know them, right? We don't need to know them either. Is it helping us thinking that other people on our side want us dead? You know what that causes? Desertion or mutiny, right? You know, the side you're fighting for, that you're risking your life for, actually wants you dead. You might actually be killed if you showed up here. Only one guy is actually trying to protect you. It's like, what? Well, looks like Zeon's getting a new walk-in base.
Yeah, but the thing is, that could happen. But the other thing is, essentially, it's more of a warning of not merely, oh, yeah, you know, it's you're in a very precarious position. It is best you know who your friends are versus your enemies. And also, don't get any ideas, you know, just because you're out here. Well, oh, nice. Tasty. You know, you better play by the book as much as possible. You know,
it's a nonsense thing to say, in my opinion, because yeah, you don't need to tell them that. Like, warn them when they get close, maybe. Like, hey, I'm gonna fly out my, what the fuck was the thing? What was it? Gun something. The transport thing.
Gun Perry.
Gun Perry. I'm gonna fly out my Gun Perry so I can have a conversation with you before you reach the base, now that you're, like, a horizon away from it. Like, I need to warn you about the political situation now that you're actually about to enter the political den of the Federation. That would be a good time, like right before they become in danger. But they're out there operating alone. It's like you're only giving them time to think. Well, we could, I don't know, sink the whole thing into the ocean and like go live on an island, maybe with a bunch of kids or something. You know, we could abandon our whole side and just like raise a bunch of kids who are like war orphans or something on an island. I know it's unprecedented, but you know, we could probably try and do something like that. Like, I don't want to fucking get killed by my own side. Don't tell me that. I am now unmotivated to fight. You've ruined my war effort. Morale. What the fuck is morale? I'm just saying. It is such a stupid thing. And I'm still blaming Rebel for it. Because Rebel's clearly, if your indication is that this is Rebel's message of saying, hey, you have my support, then Rebel is directly affecting the morale of the crew to play his own political game. You need to know that I'm here to support you by letting you know about all the people that want to kill you. Oh, cool. You could have just said you have my support without telling me the other part, which isn't directly important, I guess, unless you're going to say they're going to, like, Hunger Games these people by sending other people bonuses to kill them.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, there's no point to this.
I mean, Wright is pretty shocked. It's like, why would you do that? I mean, Wright is like, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, again, for me, it lines more up with, like, Reed, who's shouting about court-martials and everything, because Bright just wants to stay alive, and Reed is also trying to stay alive, because Reed doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, but I think Reed doesn't make any sense because he's way out of his depth, right? It's showing a guy who, yes, he is a superior officer, he's a lieutenant, and yes, he's in command because of it, but clearly he's a guy who's like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing. I got to depend on this cadet and these kids. I wish I knew enough and had enough confidence to, really be able to take charge, but I can't. So he's faking it until he makes it. The problem, he never makes it, and everybody knows that he's faking it, but they got to salute and go like, okay.
Well, he's like, we need to get out of here. We need to do this thing in order to survive the situation. And Bright's like, okay, I'll handle the micromanaging to get your order achieved. And he's like, court-martial! It's like, what? Sorry, I didn't know where this was 40K. Did I, like, not salute a picture of the Empire? Or the Emperor? What did I do wrong here? By the way, I love that. I love playing 40K, the RPG, because all I did was play Engine Singer, so I could stay awake all the time, and I saw like an extra arm that would just always be saluting. So it's like, you're not going to get me on this minor shit. I'm going to do all the orders all the time. Yeah, that was my final thought. So we already had your thoughts. We both interacted with each other's thoughts. We went over the board. We looked at a 3-color map. We've debated everything. I guess it's time to go ahead and get on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
It is a good song, especially 1979 compared to. Oh, you know what? I can't think of what its contemporaries would be.
No, Macross wouldn't be.
Well, Macross is only 3 or 4 years later.
Messenger Z had a pretty catchy song.
I didn't see it. The closest I've got is Voltace 5.
Voltace 5.
Which I don't actually know the year, even though I've watched so much stuff. Voltace 5 is 1977, so 2 years earlier. Unfortunately, when it comes to this era of anime, I am just like all over the board. Like 1969, I think, with the original Astro Boy. And then just jump forward to 1977, Voltes 5. Technically, I did watch the first 2 episodes of Get a Robo, which is 1974. So 1969, 1974, 1977, 1979. In case you forgot.
宇宙都市建設に使う鉱物資源を手に入れるために運ばれてきた小惑星である。その隣に7番目の宇宙都市サイド7が建設され始めて2年目、ジオン公国と地球連邦軍の戦争が始まった。この大戦で4つの宇宙都市の群れが消滅し、わずかサイド6のいくつかの宇宙都市が残るのみである。
Wow.
そして、
Well, that's new information.
を名乗る宇宙都市の群れは地球から最も遠いところにあった。
I guess it's everyone except for the ones that were neutral.
地球連邦の軟弱を撃てと。あたかも人類を救うのは彼のみであるかのよう。
In one of the greatest speeches in the show.
Cucuruz Doan Island. Builder on. For those who know, might know. Otherwise, no.
I mean, unless you're referencing Gundam Build Fighter, I have no idea.
No, I'm referencing a completely different show.
Alright, I haven't seen Gundam Build Fighter either, so...
I watched a little bit of it. It's fun. It's...
I would hold it off to like near last, only because I know it references all the other shows.
Oh, so they're testing the
thing again.
Yeah. Aerial docking.
Again, this is still pretty dumb.
It shows how the Gundam was a combiner and a transformer, as well as a real robot.
How much airtime do you need? 19 seconds? At what velocity? I guess terminal at some point. The thing's gotta be heavy.
ブライトさん、連邦の空軍の緊急信号が入ってます。
空軍の SOS？ 場所は？敵の数は？
それが自動発信のようで更新は不可能です。すぐ割り出します。
Could not possibly be an automatic signal.
Why not?
She said so.
I don't know.
To be fair, she probably knows more than we do.
I guess. That reminds me of Empire Strikes Back. R2D2 saying, "Oh, I know all these things from the Alliance, and that is not an Alliance signal." Okay, that was...
Which implies that while he's piloting the Gundam, he's looking straight up into the sky? Or it's his position of his cockpit?
No, but the cockpit folds into the...
No, because when the top of the Gundam came off, we saw the X-ray, and he's facing straight forwards up, so that when the core fighter shoots off, he's still facing the right way for the core fighter to pilot.
Yeah, but when they combine, you see the nose folding into the front. Looks like an old aircraft. It doesn't look like a standard Federation aircraft.
Well, one, they said Air Force, so maybe it's old, but also maybe it is.
Yeah, those two guys are dead as... Oh, I guess they're not dead.
They couldn't be dead. Because that couldn't be an automatic signal. Somebody has to be alive to send it. Even though his arms are tied up.
第二戦闘配置の指令を出しておこう。
はい。
They gotta be close because they tied them up inside the aircraft.
You know, Kai is just one syllable away from Kaifun.
Yeah.
ダメか。
Well, he didn't make it. There you go. He didn't make it.
動いちゃダメですよ。
Well, doesn't matter if he dies now. I'm just talking about the signal. Get him alive to send the signal.
戦闘機の武器だけ奪うとは一体。誰だ。大丈夫ですか。
So they tortured him.
I mean, certainly they did more than nothing, considering they tied him up. I mean, it's entirely possible this is all damage from crash landing, and then they just tied him to his chair. Well, it looks like it's time to shoot some kids.
やめろ、やめるんだ。
あの戦闘機も壊しちゃえ。
やめるんだ。
しまった。
As a reminder, this episode got sent to a South Korean animation studio that did work that the studio was unhappy with and erased from history, or at least tried to. So this Zaku was completely off model, otherwise known as a skinny Zaku.
武器を渡せ。今ならそっちの好きにできるはずだ。好きにやったらいいじゃないか。
戦いたくないから頼んでいるのだがな。さあ、安全なところにいなさい。
ドア、あんなやつやっつけちゃってね。お願いよ。
そんな戦闘機でこのザクに勝てると思っているのか。
致命傷は無理としてもミサイルで撃ちどころさえ良ければ動けなくすることはできる。行くぞ。関節のジョイントを破壊できれば。
I mean, someone answers your question before about that one base is only Zaku versus the core fighter. I mean, we see that Amuro kind of fucking sucked at it, but Amuro thought he could do it. And I don't know if Doan here is actually more skilled than not.
Old man hip broken hip, I guess.
Unfinished house. Built a fence before you finished your house.
君は
ローラン、
ここは一体どこです？
ドアン。
You're one of Milia's kids.
ドアン？
ククルス・ドアン。あなたを助けた人だけど。
なんだって？
ドアンはあなたを返すつもりです。痛みが治るまでここでしばらく寝てらっしゃい。
Just a funny appraisal of the situation. Doan, he's the one that saved you. He's also the one that wrecked me.
ドアンの見立て通りね。ドアンなら裏の畑に子供たちといるわ。
Yeah, he's a clear Zeon, a former Zeon soldier.
Well, he has a Zaku. Either way.
He could have captured it from somewhere else.
In the middle of nowhere? I mean, technically, sure. He could have taken it from somewhere else and taken it here with a bunch of kids.
どこにあるんですか？
君の戦闘機か。私はこの子たちを守らなければならないんだ。いずれジオンの連中がここを見つけ、私を攻撃してくるだろうからな。
僕だって身を守るためには武器がいるんです。コアファイターを返してください。
返したら、君だって私を倒しに来るんじゃないのか？
あなたみたいに子供を騙して手先に使うのとは違います。僕はジオンの侵略者と戦ってるんです。
ドアンの悪口を言うな。私たち騙されてなんかいないわよ。そうだ。僕たちの島を守って何が悪い？ドアンの悪口を言うなら返せ。
Also important to note that this is technically also the story that we watch after we get done with 79 Gundam.
やめろ。
Because the next thing on the list is literally the movie version of this.
だけどこいつコアファイターは探し出し
Although
ますから。
technically it could be the compilation movie since they changed some things too. Also, did you take my clothes off? I know it's not important, but I would like to know which one of you took my clothes off.
She's hoping the green-eyed, green-haired girl did otherwise.
I mean, why would you think it's anywhere on the island? You crashed out, like, way offshore. For all you know, he took you out of the cockpit underwater.
ドアン、あいつ戦闘機を見つけないよね。絶対わかりっこないわよね。
ああ、そうだな。
Yeah, there you go. That seems far more likely.
Oh. 思ったより意地っ張りなのね。
偵察に来たのか。
あなたにはあの夕日の美しさもわからないみたいね。
戦いに美しさ
He landed in a place full of hippies, I suppose.
ドアンはね、あなたが思っているような悪い人じゃないのよ。
子供たちを騙すのが上手なようだね、ドアンって。
何も知らないくせに
Slapometer.
勝手に決めつけないで。
そんな立派な男がなぜコアファイターを隠すんだ。
You shot a missile at him. Shut the fuck up.
いくら子供だからってそんなに簡単に騙されてこの島までついてくると思うの？
Well, I mean, if you believe that children legally have no ability to make decisions on their own, then he is culpable for anything that he makes the children do or seems to let them do on their own.
Yeah.
In fact, you're a child too, so.
青臭いところが取れたらいい兵士になれるって。
I assume Ryu flying his core fighter sideways, apparently, according to that last shot.
Yeah.
人が心配してるっていうのに連絡ぐらいすべきよね。アムロのことですもの。何か事情があるのよきっと。だといいんだけど、もしかしてバカね私って。
I guess they have TV, I guess.
Or just radio. I know it's a horrible scene, but my mind could not help but go back to the Lonely Island crew, where his head comes up. Now back to the good part.
近くに軍隊がいるだろうからね。彼がその気になってくれなければ面倒になる。こんな不安に怯える生活、できることなら私も早く抜け出したいが、すまん。
私なら平気よ。
Or it's just a radar?
I guess.
Even though that doesn't make any sense for the antenna array that was actually out behind his house.
Well, if it's a Minovsky particle,
Detector, yeah, but I don't know how you would have like distance and range on that sort of thing.
お互いよく眠れなかったようだな。
he's sleeping in his.
Yeah, he's sleeping how I sleep.
未確認飛行物体接近。かなりのスピードです。
こっちに向かっているのか。
いえ、ポイント305方面に向かってます。
竜に発信させましょう。
よし。
Which is the island, as we already know.
はい。
ザクだ。逃げろ。急げ。
I mean, both sides are pretty dumb here. They can't throw rocks at him to get off the island, but he can't because of how. And then he tells them to run. Run where?
返してくれ。危ない。
There goes the house.
It's like, quick, hide in the house from the tank shells.
ドアン、
ついてこい。
I
Or-
knew it was behind the waterfall.
Or Jaws, according to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
ザクのやつ、一体何を狙ってんだ。
Not you, surprisingly. Oh, there it goes.
素早い集め。
アムロ、無事だったのか。
リュウさん、
一体どうしたっていうんだ。
話は後です。とにかく一つのザクはこちらの味方です。
Which one?
来た。ホワイトベースか。
アムロ、大丈夫か。
はい、至急ガンダムを発射してください。空中でドッキングします。
いや、やめろ。着艦して乾燥だ。オムルへ。乾燥準備急げ。
僕だって少しは腕が上がってるっていうのに。
Again, you have to have like a minimum safe distance up to be able to perform the midair.
See, that it folds in top. Yeah.
You've been holding on to that one for 20 minutes.
行きます。
I'm gonna prove I'm right. You just wait, I know it's coming back later in this episode.
He had a bazooka and now he has a.
あとはこのザクだけです。
待て、こいつは俺に任せろ。
しかしあなたには
How could you tell which one was which? I guess one of them has a gun.
モビル
Never
スー
mind.
ツの格闘技というのを見せてやる。よく見て覚えておけ。
しかし
Mobile suit martial arts.
Apparently the other guy knows martial arts too.
私は
Even though he's holding a gun, he went in for a
戦い
kick.
続ける。オムロ、一体どうなってんだ。
さあ、それが僕にも。
教えてやる、少年たち。子供たちの親を殺したのはこの俺さ。
え？
俺の打った流れ弾のためにな。ジオンは子供たちまで殺すように命じた。だが俺にはできなかった。俺は子供たちを連れて逃げた。俺の命に変えてもこの子供たちを殺させはしない。
ドアン。
俺は
You're getting yourself killed.
させはしない。
I mean, it's a bit ridiculous. I have to assume that they didn't send out the Zaku to kill the children that you decided not to kill. It's here probably to take out the Zaku that went renegade.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he's like the kids of a governor or something, you know, like
やっぱり僕たちのドンだ
奴らは
following the evil overlord list to make sure the kids don't survive to come back at you later.
私がいる限りこの子供たちにも危険がつきまとう。困ったものだ。
違います。あなたがいるからじゃありません。あなたの体に染みついている戦いの匂いが追跡者を引きつけるんじゃないんでしょうか。
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
戦いの匂い。
I don't know, I'm rose big on scents these days.
それを消させてください。ククルス・ドアン。
I mean, it's probably something stupid like so long as you have a Zaku, they're gonna come to attack you. So give up your only means of defense.
I mean, that's what's valuable about it.
Well, I mean, it implies that they won't attack you as long as the Zaku's not here. Which hasn't... I don't know if that's true. What if they still come to attack you because you're a Xeon deserter?
I mean, I don't think they would spend sending Sakus to this guy just to kill one guy. I send ground troops or something, right?
And still, that's more than enough to take out one guy and 4 kids.
どうしてさ
Yeah.
ドアンのを沈めちゃったのよ
あのお兄ちゃんのやったことはとてもいいことなんだよ。
Unless, of course, you know, it's got some waterproof technology that is still sending signals.
そう思わないか？
The core fighter seal seemed to work after you sank it and then pulled it out of the
Yeah.
water. We do know it blows up with a nuclear force, implying it's got some long-lasting energy tech.
Yeah. Yeah, this episode was.
It's alright.
I get what they were trying to do, right? Oh, you know, that not all. Again, reminder that not all Sion soldiers are bad. What the heck is
そ
that?
の無謀な戦いにはガンダムを危機に陥れるアムロの救出作戦が機動戦士ガンダム次回セーラ出撃君は生き延びることができるか
Gallop and Goof sounds like a traveling circus show.
Again, I think they wanted to make an episode that reinforces the whole war is bad and that Sion soldiers have, you know, they regret their actions. At least one of them is willing to, you know, protect the kids that he harmed.
I mean, it's the stupidity of they ordered me to
Yeah.
kill the kids, even though the only reason that the parents died because I fired a stray shot. It's like, well, then why did they follow up with an order for you to kill the kids? Destroy the evidence? Like, what? I mean, what is the point? It's in. I assume that they had a stronger point that they wanted to make, which is why they made a
Yeah.
movie about it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh man, we failed in this episode so hard on visual style alone
Yeah.
that we need to wipe it. But at the same point, I really had a really important message that I wanted to tell here.
So we'll see what that is, but eventually.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm eager to see it because it's from the same person who made Origin. And Origin is really good, so I'm assuming that he could do a lot with this.
I mean, they could have been the parents and the children could have been rebels, guerrillas. He meant and launch an attack, and they wanted to make an example of them.
He doesn't indicate how long ago that was.
That's true. And the kids look about the same age, no more than a year after that. So
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think the kids are gorillas.
no, but their parents might have been.
Yeah, but why kill the kids? Re-educate the kids.
Remember again, there's also the space noid, Earth noid thing as well.
Which is
going on.
nonsense.
It is nonsense, but it's one of the justifications for the war, right? Ideology is a powerful weapon.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I don't mean that in a dismissive way. I just mean I have very clear thoughts and I can't allude to them yet for very specific reasons. It has nothing to do with this show. It's nonsense. It's nonsense that's done better elsewhere. And
Yeah, true, but
because they're just the same race. There's nothing different about them other than one has conceivably weaker bones and muscles. I have to think that space noids are weaker than Earth noids. And both of them are weaker than the Noid, who will never let my pizza get delivered on time. You got to avoid the Noid.
yeah.
That little red bastard.
The
Anyway,
reason why
yeah,
there
I
was
mean,
so many accidents. Anyway,
yeah, there's
yeah.
not a lot to think about in this episode. Well, there is a lot to think about. There's just not a lot in my mind in regards to it because
I mean, the thing I like is that the message that they were trying to, but it's been done before as well, done much better. The soldier that leaves the war and goes in isolation and gets welcomed by the locals because he's a change man. I mean, there's
no locals.
Well, I know, but what I mean by I think does the girl?
He's a fool, is what he is. At best, he's a fool. What did he do? He ran away with his his mobile suit, his Zaku, which, by the way, still has to be transmitting his location, because otherwise, how the hell do they know where he's at? Which means he's stupid. He doesn't know the own operations of his own Zaku. And then he's gonna do what? Make a farm with these kids? What did he do also, by the way? Just held them in the palm of his thing? Or did he fit them all in the cockpit?
Apparently they're used to riding his palm because the kids were like, "Oh yeah, let's do."
Also, because you know what's the Riddick rule? You keep what you kill, right? So automatically, because I killed your parents, it makes me the best person responsible for keeping track of you kids. Like, no, couldn't possibly put them in like any agency specifically whose job it is to take care of kids whose families have died. Like, I understand that there's all.
I don't.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
an orphanage. I don't think you can find an orphanage.
I understand there's a lot of war orphans around here, and it's the whole situation. I'm just saying, you killed the parents doesn't mean that they're your kids now. Conceivably, there could be a lot of people out there who've lost their kids who are experienced parents who might be better at this too. Who knows? You didn't even investigated? Did you kill all of their family? Like, are the grandparents dead? Did they have, like, brothers and sisters, the parents? Like, if you're so in, like, oh man, I've committed a great evil here and I need to atone for it, like, give up the Zaku and just start walking the earth looking for these kids' extended family. Like, I don't know. It's like it's a real Riddick thing. Keep what you kill.
Yeah, it reminds me of a certain character playing a guitar to a mountain. It sounds.
It's not
like
as
there's
dumb.
An idea there.
No, it's way more Ray than it is Basara.
Yeah,
Ray picks up this random wandering kid for no reason. I guess because the kid has a skill, and what do these kids do? They throw rocks. I guess they're good at slingshots and setting shit on fire.
Yeah, sticks on fire. And what happened to the other soldiers? I guess both of them died too. The pilots of the aircraft.
Oh, you mean the other Zaku and the
No, I'm talking the people that came because they came to the island because there was a.
Oh, I thought you were implying that maybe he was part of a unit before. Like, clearly he was attacking a place. I guess he could be like that other base that only had one Zaku. Because he clearly had a command structure who was telling him to kill kids. In which case, why wouldn't you just turn around and like attack your own base if you were like that hard up? Because I think it would be more effective to kill your commanders, which are ordering you to kill kids, than to just run away and let them order more people to kill more kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had more than one Zaku, because they came with it.
Hanging by the... Which was so kind of foolish.
Well, it was weird because it has one free hand, which is holding onto one wing, but it's also got the other hand, which is holding a gun, and must be like doing like a weird finger through the trigger, holding onto the... Yeah, because that goes wrong so quickly. Like, what happens if this hand like comes a little bit loose because of the holding the gun thing at the same time. Suddenly, you're one hand on the wing, which is going to off-center the whole damn thing. Now suddenly the fighter craft goes down, and you land in the ocean. And we're implying that this is going to ruin the Zaku's for some reason, even though they're supposed to be, I gotta say, at least airtight, because we're using them in space.
Yeah, no, this episode wasn't great.
There's a lot of holes.
Yeah, Saku-size holes.
Anyway, final thought?
I'll give this. If I were to rate episodes, I would give the one a pass. It's like,
I don't know, it's better than Time Be Still.
there's parts of Time Be Still that actually are good.
Like The Magician?
I mean, it gives you a sense of the base and what they're doing and all that, and and the patrols and whatnot. It's the part that really ruins is you got 30 minutes to disarm. It's like, what?
To be fair, it's not like the length of the episode. Like, the dude didn't go like, you've got 14 and a half minutes runtime.
It's the episode, yeah. This will be solved in 15 minutes. So, yeah, you got 14 and a half.
Oh, that would have been clever. I actually would have appreciated that more. Because they say, like, they've got 25 minutes left, and next time it's like, they've got 8 minutes left. It's been 2 minutes on the actual clock. It's like,
yeah, what the hell?
All right. Well, this has been, I've never said his name right. I'm going to skip his first name. Doan's Island.
Doan's Island, yeah.
Cucuruz. The problem is that other guy that's part of Ramba's group that has like a similar name, which also throws me every time. Anyway, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?